the same story 3 times in the show. I didn't think it was necessary. Like they could have gotten a little bit more creative with how they made those dynamics work.
Mhm.
No, man, and I mean, we need to start touching on some of these other characters that we haven't talked about. But like, I guess we're gonna just be throwing questions back at each other because this is a good way of like, saying our favorite moments and talking
Yeah.
about certain people. But
Yeah.
like, who's your favorite Akatsuki member, if you like from the top of your head? And again,
Ooh.
this is not like before anything crazy was revealed. Like just from like the first time you saw them, or like the interactions or the fights. Like, who's your favorite one? Because I definitely have a favorite one.
Sheesh. You definitely start out. You start off hard. Honestly, I'll say Itachi because he came with like so much with him, kind of thing. Like when you finally meet him, like you just knew that he was the Uchiha that killed all other Uchihas except for the brother, and was just waiting for the day that it was strong enough to kill him. So like when he shows up with the shark guy, I forget his name. And they show up, and then like you have Guy and you have Asuna. Oh, you have Guy, Asuna, and the Genjutsu lady there, and then uh, Kakashi is off the bat saying like, "No, you guys can't take these guys." You're like, "What? These are like the best uh, like ninjas in the whole village." And they can't take out two Akatsuki members, and that to me was just wild. And then the whole fact that Itachi kind of did the what 72 hours in like 3 minutes with Kakashi, it was like, sheesh,
Yeah.
that was just crazy to me.
Yeah, I
No, and
don't.
that's yeah. No, go ahead, Ramon.
Oh no, I was gonna get into mine, but if you have
Well,
a
no, 'cause I was gonna say like when Guy Sensei came in to fight Itachi, that
Yeah,
was kind of cool because it's like Guy Sensei was always trained himself to fight
yeah,
people against the Sharingan. So I wish we
because
got a little bit
because
more of
of
that.
Kakashi, yeah.
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 So no, who's your favorite, Ramon?
Well, Hidan, man. I think Hidan at the end of it all, he was just my favorite because of everything
His
about him. Like
laugh.
his
Yeah.
his comical relief. Because in the beginning, I didn't get what in the world was going on. I had no clue what he was doing to kill all those people. But I remember him and the interactions that he had with his partner, where it was just like, if you don't shut up, I'm gonna kill you. And then the next thing you know, he'd be like waking up from like being dead, but at the same time, everybody else was dead too. And I did that a few episodes where I just really had no clue what was going on in these like cutscenes. And then you find out his like jutsu. Freaking crazy powers of, basically he's able to use his blade to draw blood from his enemy and take that blood and be able to perform a jutsu that ultimately takes control of them. And then not only that, but he uses the control that he has over them to make them commit suicide or kill themselves, I guess. So that was just again another real. I guess I really like the dark in this whole
Yeah.
like beautiful anime, but it's just like that was really something that was really dark, but it was leveled out by his personality, which was goofy.
Yeah.
Joked a lot. He was really full of himself. I don't think they ever explained really what his religion or his like following really was. But I
Hmm.
really like that, even though that's not me, but in general, like I love that he had some ultimate or ulterior like kind of motive that even though he was working for the Akatsuki to make money and do his thing, he also just really had a mission in mind. He was a missionary. And then I love the way that he turns into once he does his jutsu, the way that he turns black with the skeleton phase.
Hmm.
I loved everything about it. I love the way that he freaking not died, but I love the way that he got messed up by Shikamaru and basically at the end exploded, dismembered and buried in a hole, like so much that he can't be reanimated because he's not truly dead. So we know right now at this moment, freaking Hidan is out there buried
Yeah.
in pieces because he's still not dead because he's immortal.
Well, if you guys know something about me, is that I love men that are attractive to like fighting and like, bloodbaths and killing. And,
Yeah,
that's what I like about him. And he was just one of those people that like, I'm going to go forward in battle and kill everybody and slash and laugh about it. And he was almost like a Joker type. Like he
yeah,
was very like eager to
sadistic.
just get, yeah, no. So I like that, man. I like your answer because I think he does get a lot of love in the community. And if you ever look up statues, Ramon, that's the statue I want to see in your house one day, a giant statue of him.
A giant
Yeah,
one.
a giant one. I mean, he
Oh
does.
my god.
That's what I'm saying. But he has that look though. If I can get him with his like skeleton like makeup and stuff, like whoa, beautiful, absolutely.
Well, if it's
What
a little
about
bit
you?
too, if it's a little bit too giant, I might get a little bit worried of what you're doing with him. But
No, no love like that for Hidan. Oh, look at that! I'm wrapping him on my T-shirt. If you guys have the little video, there you go.
Yeah.
for me, it's a character that I honestly would have thought you would have picked, Ramon, just because you're more of an artist, and this guy
Oh yeah,
definitely
yeah.
loved this art. So even though you didn't get a lot, and I don't think he had the most like
I'll tell you
personal
why.
motivations, why like he was like he should be my favorite. But something about Daidora, like I
Yeah.
just love the way that his artwork, like this whole clay animation and bringing things to life, and if they touch you, they explode, and he could create flying birds. I mean, the man took down Gara, in my opinion. He could
Oh
have
yeah.
taken Sasuke, but obviously he chose to like kill himself, which didn't end up working in his favor. Even when you find out how he did join the Akatsuki, he Itachi sort of like managed to like defeat him, and like that was his whole purpose. Like, I want to make my art more superior than Itachi, so I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna be part of this group so that I can one day defeat
Yeah,
Itachi.
absolutely.
So I just love again, I think we could have gotten a lot more from him,
Mhm.
and I just think the impression that he left on me from taking down Gara, and then even him, he was very like, I guess if you guys know me, I like to be like planning things out and be like, we need to do this, or bro, are you gonna be here at 8:30 and we need to do this?
No.
And that's how he was. He was always very like, we need to do this, like let's keep
Mhm.
forward, and Obito and Master, because I think he would call Sasori his like master for
Oh
some
yeah,
reason.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then I just want to throw out some love to Kona for actually being able
Oh
to
yeah.
kill Obito. And if they didn't had done that stupid move about like them able to be able to alter reality, like she would have taken down Obito. So Kona is another one that I like second favorite for sure.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I like the Itera a lot, and yeah, you're right because you think me being an artist, but I think that's why I got annoyed by him. But I loved him, but I got annoyed by him because he was always like, I need to perfect my art, and then he became all about that too much that it made him very vulnerable. Like a lot of the fights he lost is because he's getting obsessed with just creating the ultimate art piece. But I also love that about him, right? Like he had a mission in his mind. He saw his like jutsu, his craft, and everything, his abilities as like something more than just the excerpt of chakra. So he really romanticized like his abilities, and yeah, he had some really cool stuff, man. Even as like as little as the little spiders that he threw. I love the big birds that he made. Oh, that freaking like when he does it, I don't remember the name right now, but it's like atomic bomb, basically. Like the figure
Yeah.
that thing took, like he was clearly doing and creating some cool things. So he's really cool, yeah. But no, he down all the way though.
Yeah, man. I mean, I have another question, guys. But if you guys have one, like,
No,
feel free to go.
yeah,
Well, I was gonna say, like, and this can be anybody. It does not have to be like specifically for the Leaf Village. But who's your favorite, like, Hokage? And I know they have other names for like other nations, but like, who
Hokages.
overall? Yeah, like, who's your favorite one? Like
Mm.
I mean, just to like give you guys some time to think. I always love the second Hokage, but I feel like I know nothing about the guy. As far as I know, they never really gave him a true backstory, why he has that cool white hair. Like, show me some of the water techniques that he have. Show me how he was able to, invent reanimation jutsu. Like, I want to know more about that guy, and I'm surprised they never gave him a movie or gave him a little bit more of a backstory. But for me, and it must be just the way he looks, man. Like, he to me, out of any character that's the design in Naruto, like the second Hokage for me, it's one of the coolest, but it's also one of the ones where in an argument I could easily be defeated because you don't find anything about him. And I think the best thing he ever did was that he would stayed back so that the squad he was protecting was able to like live. So you don't even ever see him like be taken down or what brought him down. But I would love to see more about the second Hokage.
Um. After watching the kind of from the beginning, I've learned to like the third Hokage more than I used to. So when he was fighting Orochimaru, um,
Yeah.
so I didn't realize that the third Hokage was a nerd. Like he had learned every jitsu that there
Oh
was to
yeah.
learn. That's what made him so strong. And then the only reason why he lost was probably because he was old as hell. Like
That's how
he
I would lose.
Yeah, absolutely.
because if you think about it, he was around when the first two Hokages were around. Um, Still, and because there's a like flashback where he's maybe like an old teenager, or a young dude, and they're telling him, hey, you're gonna be the next Hokage. Um,
Well, it's that part where I was telling you the second Hokage
yeah,
assigns him, like that's the part where he
yeah,
dies. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna like stay back, and you guys can escape, but I'm putting you in charge."
hmm
So like that's where he put him in charge.
yeah, and then and so if you think about it, like he must have been at least in the what 70s, 80s, who knows? Because if you think about it, Tsunade was maybe in her 50s, and she's the
Oh,
granddaughter of the first
Hashirama.
Hokage.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's got to be old as hell, 70s, 80s at least.
Yeah.
There's no wonder he lost to Orochimaru.
No, and that Orochimaru fight with the three, that the first, the second, and Orochimaru against the third Hokage.
Hmm
Probably another like top 10, man. Like,
Yeah,
man, dude, like that
that was
was
a good fight.
so, especially from
And
like
the wood style with the
Oh yeah, the
trees.
word style. Yeah.
dude, I think that's another thing. Like, I had never seen, like, I've seen clearly like Dragon Balls and Full Metal Alchemist and some anime, but I've never seen something so insane like that fight, man. And another level, man. Another level at the
Mhm,
time. Obviously, by now there's other better things that I can point out, but at the time, it was something that I don't think had ever been done
mhm,
in animation, and it was so cool, man. So yeah, like I agree with your whole choice with the third Hokage.
Yeah, and then for me, it's I don't know, it's rough. I feel like I'm keep going for the easy ones, but there's reasons to, right? I love Hashirama.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
No, I
But
like
again,
your choice.
oh
I like
yeah,
your
yeah.
choice because it's like Madara Hashimara. Like, how could you not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like, and I think it's just because again, that's I, you know what it is. I think by the end of the whole show, that's the story that to me, like, hit me the most. I think that's the story that I like the most. I think that's the story that ultimately had a lot of crazy death because their battle, like their friendship, and then their like breaking up battle and everything was probably the most impactful to the future and everything we were dealing with. And again, it seems easy for that reason because it's like they're freaking powerful. It's amazing. It's incredible. But I randomly bought Naruto Ninja Storm 4 3. I don't even know what it was. Not sure. I started playing the game. The first thing you do in the story mode is you play as freaking Hashirama fighting Madara, and I think that changed my mind because I was in the fight. I was like freaking, going with the freaking golem, with the Buddha, with the like dousing
Oh yeah.
hand, like all that stuff. It was really cool. And then I hadn't even gotten to that part in Naruto. That by the time I did, I was really invested in that. But anyways, going back to Hashirama, like I just really love that he was that initial like kind of startup of the whole everything that happens later on. Like he's the one with that idea of wanting to basically have a place where people can love each other and gather and be family essentially. And he is the one that basically becomes like, when they talk about the will of fire, the whole series, it's because of him. Like it's Hashirama's will of fire that leads to like the salvation of the Leaf Village, like the salvation of the world. Like if Naruto didn't have the will of fire that Hashirama started, this show just wouldn't happen. Like it's just that was like the one force that kind of we were known, we were let know that was like the bigger picture. And I do love it. Like he did a lot. Like I think specifically loved when he starts talking about Tsunade, like when he's reincarnated and he's always laughing. He's like, "Oh, my Tsunade," and then he's just like, you find out that he's when he gets like reanimated, you find out he's just as dumb as Naruto is.
Oh, yeah.
That's another situation, right? Like he's saying some. I mean, he's smart, he's amazing, like he does all these crazy things, but he has his moments of like ridiculousness that he talks, and you're like, what? And I think they did question it a couple times. They were like, wait, that was like the first Hokage, like that's like the great Hashirama, because he's making some dumb jokes or some dumb things, and I don't know. Again, it's that super dorky dude with the craziest of powers that just wins you over a lot of the time. So Hashirama all the way.
No, man, I agree with you. Like him is definitely like if you were gonna do a reincarnation of like whatever, like how they did with Naruto and Sasuke, like it should have been those two characters. 'Cause I
Yeah.
think from the very beginning, like they had they were the best of the best. So it's almost you could have made the argument like from the beginning they were just born with a talent that for some reason nobody else can explain it. So definitely, man, I like your choices because them too, and I'm surprised that I never did get a tattoo with him in the
Oh yeah.
thousand hands because that thing is
Yeah.
so cool when you see the anime panel for it. Um, And man, though, like I know we've been talking a lot, but we gotta start giving more love to some of these characters. Like I know we touched on Kakashi somewhat, but like obviously like great characters throughout the whole thing. But I mean, is there anybody else that you guys feel like we need to just quickly like start throwing some love to before people start like being like, "Well, I've been listening to
Oh,
an
I can't
hour.
believe.
Where's the Kabuto talk? Where's the more about Itachi? Where's like is there anybody else that you want to go through,
I
guys?"
Minato.
mean,
No.
I
Well,
mean that. Yeah.
Minato's a beautiful, cool, also like
Yep.
so. It's almost like a Deku, Tanjiro type. Like, dude, you
Yeah.
want to like just like lead, like go into battle with them because they're just so freaking cool.
Yeah, and inspirational and
I
Exactly.
don't.
selfless.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I
There's a
mean, he
lot
has
of.
that. I mean, his flash technique, one of the coolest too. Which again, the second Hokage is my understanding, the one that invented the teleporting technique, but he definitely perfected it.
Oh no, he had his little teleportation jutsu too with his kunai that he like threw
Well,
him and then he was able to teleport everywhere.
well,
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about. Like the
Okay. Okay.
second
Yeah.
Hokage invented that, but like he
Oh, that's true.
perfected it. Yeah.
Yeah, but that can be. I'm well, sorry. I guess what I meant to say is going into that, like that was really useful in that fourth war when he was reanimated. Like that was some really cool scenes too, and then just kind of being able to see a lot of that stuff pay off. Like he was great. I don't know. It's weird. Like I think very emotional moments that you just reminded me of that part when his chakra and also Naruto's mother eventually revealed themselves to him inside of his like
Hmm.
inner self. That was sad. I think that was. Oh yeah, that was the first time that I actually met him because I was waiting for that too. Like that was another character that again, the show being over for like a few years now, like I go to look up figures, I go to look up like clips of things, and he's one that would come up a lot, and I would so resist to like watch anything about him or find out more than he was Naruto's dad, and even that was like a big spoiler for me. Again, years later, obviously, I was still like, no, don't tell me. But yeah, I think he was another character that was great. That was kind of almost too easy because he was so charming too. And then yeah, to be able to do that for Naruto, or I guess the whole situation of putting that in him, and he plays a big role, and I was actually really happy for that because I was afraid that Naruto was never going to have a true father like a sense because he had other father figures, like Jiraiya, like even Kakashi,
Iruka
um,
Sensei.
yeah, Iruka, and so it's like, but this was the first time that for me I'd seen that like his real dad, and he was still able to interact. I think it's all like magic, chakra magic, but it was still really great to see all that. And then when he got reanimated, then definitely he was very proud of his son, and I mean we all strive for that love sometimes, and yeah, that was great.
He was a force ghost.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, how I mean, because I know you were excited for this, Ramon. How excited were you when you finally saw Guy Sensei open all his gates?
Ah,
Oh man, I finally understood again other things that I get spoiled to by looking at figures or looking at like certain clips. And I never saw a clip of him actually using his gate, but it was definitely one of those where I saw a figure and he was like fuming red and he's like on fire, and I'm like, what is this? Like, like what's gonna happen? And I think, when I got there, I understood it, and I think the part that I loved the most was the fact that it was his blood vaporizing that created that red plume around him. And that was beautiful because it was even better. Like I knew he was gonna die because they mentioned it almost right away of he releases his hate shock or his hate gate. Um in our gate that he's ultimately gonna die, but then finding out why he dies is because his blood is freaking vaporizing out of his body was crazy. So beyond happy to watch it. Not that I thought he was truly gonna die, but I was very happy that he didn't die. I'm really happy that my boy Naruto with his like new sage
Was able
form,
to
like
like, yeah.
yeah, bring him back. So that was great. But yeah, no, that was beautiful.
No, man, that was no. Wait, can I just say something real quick, Ro? Like,
no.
just
Go
just
ahead.
one of those things that like this show, I never like thought this character could be alive or could come back, let alone be one of the main bad guys was Obito, man. The idea of
Yeah.
Obito
Mhm.
surviving that, when we got introduced and that rock
The
fell
long
on
game.
him, I never like even in my mind I was like, no, he cannot be alive. Like he died. Like
Toby.
I saw a boulder fell on the goddamn kid. Like he can't be
Kakashi has his eye.
Kakashi has his eye, and it's just like, oh my god, that's like one of those twists in my life that I was like, oh my god, like Obito survived that, and he became like, it was funny
Toby.
because Toby in the beginning was so comical and goofy, and then it's like, sure enough, it was Obito the whole time. And it's like, yeah, so that's the only thing I wanted to say, Ro, before I forget.
No, yeah, yeah. No, I was gonna say like probably like the most. one of the most impactful like fights or just like moments, and I love seeing people's reaction to this fight with pain
Oh yeah.
in the Leaf Village, especially with the Almighty push, and then like when all these characters are dying, and you legit think that they're dying, like you see um Kakashi die, you see you think that they're like, oh, the main character is about to die, and then Hinata's there kind of trying to save him or whatever, even though like he's pinned, you get so many such like suspenseful, impactful moments with this fight. And you think Pain is a big bad guy, like he's the leader of the Kusky. He's the one
Oh yeah, yeah.
that's pulling all the strings or whatever that kind
Oh
of did
yeah.
everything. And then you kind of see, oh wait, is it Nagato then? Maybe, because he brings everybody back, but he dies in the process. And then you find out everything about Toby slash Obito, and then the Setsu and all that stuff. There was just so many layers with
No,
that final part.
yeah, I remember when they took Gara to be his his like ninth his one tail beast to be taken away from him.
Mhm.
Like you could kind of see the shadow figures, and like Pain was always like the one with his Rinnegan that like always like was like, oh, like I wonder, like I want to know more about that guy, and he's clearly the leader, and he's gonna be the end goal for this whole series. And like honestly, if he would have been, I would not have been disappointed because he was so freaking cool, and the
It's
way
so
he looks,
strong.
man, so strong. Like everything about him is like hairstyle. His like
Mhm.
obviously we know it's a dead body of his former friend, Nagato's former ally. So,
Mhm.
but I mean, just like how he looks, his representation, his powers, like so cool, dude. And I think like not my favorite, but definitely like the best animation that I think I've ever seen in Naruto. It is that fight between Naruto and Pain when Naruto like
Oh yeah.
loses control and he does the fox comes out of him. I think that is probably like the best animated thing because it's like on a god level. Everything about it is it almost shouldn't work, but it just works the way like Naruto's hitting Pain and Pain's like it's just it's crazy. Like I mean, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, like I
Mhm.
Pain's this amazing character for sure.
All right, and then I guess I'll bring him up because this will definitely get in trouble if we don't talk about him. But Itachi, like, let's just talk about Itachi. Like,
God, I
uh,
love his story.
yeah,
I love everything about it. It makes me so sad of like what he did. Like
yeah,
I don't think, honestly, I don't think there's another character like, probably the closest one is Gara, but but like at this point Itachi had to make the choice of killing his whole family, like murdering his parents, his best friends, his cousins, his uncles, aunts, like the old people sweeping the street. Like he killed everyone.
Oh my god, bro! I did not need to think he killed the people king.
Yeah, he did. Like
yeah,
the nice old lady, the nice old couple that's always outside and like that is like sweeping the street. Like he killed everybody, and the one person he could not
yeah.
kill was his brother.
I
No,
mean, I'm glad that like they explained that later on, like Obito also helped them because like the idea of him able to
oh yeah,
be
yeah.
able to kill this like powerful clan that everybody fear and everybody just like
Yeah.
had to do something to put them in control was able to like kill them quietly in the middle of the night without like other people being aware. All of a sudden, like a fight breaking out was really cool. And again, when you know Obito's power, like clearly you kind of think like with his skills of being so quiet and powerful, and then Obito being able to just teleport or go through things, like yeah,
Mhm.
they did it. I mean, they did it. But yeah, I agree with you. That shit is crazy with Itachi. I love him. Definitely, out of anybody, just real quick, out of anybody, I think Itachi was the most powerful character in this show. I don't care what you tell me. I don't care what I said about Sasuke. If it wasn't for the fact that he died of like this disease, he is genuinely the most powerful, or could have been the most powerful, like ninja of like of this show. Like I don't know. I just have such praise for him.
I
And it's
I
funny.
I I think he was Ambu at like 13 or
Oh yeah,
14.
Dude, he's like god level with his skills,
No,
man.
and it's not even that. Like the thing with him, right? It's like, and again, another whole question that people always ask, and I saw online already, and like with you guys before, people always being like, "Ooh, who's better, Itachi, Sasuke, or like, why Itachi's so cool?" And I don't think I ever actually listened to people. Like I was waiting for me to see it for myself. And let me tell you, the reason why I think he's probably one of the best characters, and the reason why obviously we were waiting to talk to him in such like great ways, is because sorry, Naruto, like he's probably the best example of like a Leaf Shinobi, like because he's the one that made the ultimate sacrifice for the Leaf Village, like to kill your whole clan. Obviously his brother, but that was different. But like, to kill the whole clan, but his brother, and for the sake of the Leaf
The
Village,
Leaf
Village, yeah.
Village,
it's
yeah.
it's intense because like Naruto didn't do that. Like I mean, obviously he's the star of the show, great, right? We love him, but like he didn't do anything to the point of just killing other people that he loved, other people that meant to him. If he was all about saving, Itachi had to kill those people for the Leaf Village to survive, and I think that just kind of put him on a scale
Yeah.
beyond for me. Yeah.
Well, yeah, let's mention the fact that they were getting to riot
Oh
and
yeah.
pretty much go on the attack and take the power or start a war. So let's like mention that. But yeah, no, continue, Ramon. Like
Oh
you're
no
hitting
no.
other spots.
Well, you're getting to the point where even like Black Setsu kind of is the fucker that kind of messes with this whole thing, right? Because he rewrites the Uchiha Stone, and that's what causes the Uchihas to think that they have to be the ones who like lead this whole thing. But no, I mean like yeah, Itachi, like I think I never got over him because yes, again, I was really surprised when he died in the beginning because I'm like, wait, what? Like I don't know why everybody loves him. Like I don't know why. What's the big deal, basically? And then he gets reanimated, and then you eventually start seeing more of his flashbacks and more of his stories. And the Ambu, great, but that didn't even matter to me. I think what mattered the most is kind of seeing his every interaction that he had with Sasuke and how that continued to build. I love when he died to Sasuke, and I love when he got reanimated and then he died again. Like once the reanimation jutsu got released and he died one more
Yeah.
time. Like everything he had for his brother, I think this meant the world, and it was really trying to tell us how we should live if we wanted to be Leaf Shinobi, and then ultimately wanted to be like citizens of this world. Like he was just a beautiful man. Like he did it for the right reasons, and the fact that he was able to like withhold that, to act like a bad guy, to act like a rogue ninja, to hide, to join the Akatsuki, even though he didn't believe fully in their like ultimate goal, he did it all to protect his brother. And then ultimately still protect the Leaf Village. And then again, you watch those later, very, very last episodes, Itachi's trying to idealize that. Like he's trying to be Itachi, like in a sense. Like, he's off on his own. At this point, yes, he's kind of done with everything and he wants to help the Leaf Village from the outside, just like his big brother. So I love that story.
No, I mean, besides Madara and him were the only ones that were able to like release themselves out of that reanimation jutsu.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
meaning, like they did not have to like follow the instructions or the purpose why they were reanimated, and like that tells you alone like how powerful they are. And that whole fight scene with Kabuto like was really cool because you finally got to see like Sasuke and his brother like doing one last adventure, or like Sasuke actually having a fond memory of him as like when
Mm-hmm.
he's a little bit older. So I like that about that. And just to like real quick with Kabuto, like I think Kabuto did have a really crazy, backstory, but I do feel like I would have loved to have seen Orochimaru become like that sage level with the
Oh
snakes.
yeah.
Because I think that would have paid off a lot more, especially if it would have been Sasuke and Itachi going against or that level of Orochimaru, because Orochimaru always wanted to kind of like get like be able to like take over Itachi's body, and then he couldn't do that, so then he like went after Sasuke. In reality, he should have been like joining that religion that one guy was saying if he wanted to live
Oh
forever.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but even like like with Orochimaru, it was always weird because he always kept dying, but there was always like a clone of him or something that kept surviving, or his spirit come back. So it's like
Yeah.
it's so weird, man. But again, I wish that would have been a more of a payoff with instead of Kabuto having Orochimaru somehow like take over Kabuto's body, and he was the one fighting them. But so cool, man. Yeah, so cool.
Quick question. Uh, something that we haven't mentioned, and I want to know your thoughts, especially you, Ramon. What about when Sai and Yamato took over for Kakashi and
Oh
Sasuke.
god.
Okay.
Oh my god.
What are your
It is funny.
thoughts?
It is
Why
funny
you gotta
because
bring the episode down,
yeah,
Raul?
I'm like, oh man, you got to make me defend something so hard to defend.
Oh, you bastard.
You make me
No,
work.
no, no. I'm just
No,
asking.
no, no, no,
What are your thoughts
no, no, no,
on that?
absolutely. Well, if you don't remember my stupid, not stupid mistake, but we were doing the Naruto draft in one of the episodes we were recording before,
Oh, I
and I,
remember. That's why I'm like you.
and I did pick Sai as one of my people, and not saying that I regret him as an ultimate choice, but I regret him to be one of my like top
Early.
four choices or something like that. But
Yeah.
you know what? So yes, I wasn't happy when Sai got brought in because he was clearly way too close to the Sasuke persona. Like he was pale, yeah, like that pitch black hair. He was like kind of cool, but also he was kind of really kind of absent minded.
Well,
Like he's
well,
couldn't read stuff.
he had no emotions.
Yeah, he had no emotions, and he was kind of still like a goofy character for me. But I saw the potential of
Mhm.
him and his abilities, right? And I just watched that movie, the last Naruto movie, and he does a couple more things with his drawings that I really wanted him to do. He did it in this movie, and so not saying that I was still like, oh my god, finally, Sai has been like
Mhm.
freaking justified. No, like he has cool potential. He just didn't do anything with it. So yeah, not super happy about him, but I still I was a fan of his abilities. I would
Mhm.
have used them differently. I don't even know. I probably would have drawn some like spiky balls to shoot at people and just impale them in a minute or whatever. But anyways. And then Yamato was a little different though. I didn't like his like fillers and telling the story about him. Like that was just kind of like whatever. But I did like that he did have like finding out that he had Hashirama cells infused with him. That he was kind of a clone. That thing was kind of cool because that was like the first time that, in a sense, I was like, oh wait, why is Hashirama cells so important? And then
Mhm.
later when you find out about the Setsus and how they're also like kind of like reminiscences of, well, I guess you find out it's actually beyond that, but you think at one point that it is because of Hashirama and this whole thing. But yeah, I think ultimately Yamato did some cool stuff, and then all of a sudden he was a babysitter. So he
Well,
ended up
even
to me being a glorified babysitter.
didn't Danzo also have some of his clones in him, like his cells in him?
Yeah, yeah, that's how he was able to attach all the Sharingan onto
Yeah,
him because he had some of that
yeah.
too.
No, and that fight to me was really cool. How do you feel about
Oh
the
my god,
idea?
yes.
I know I touched on it with Kona, but how do you feel about the ability like they can alter reality by sacrificing one of their eyes? Is that still something that like works for you? For overall, like I don't mind it because I think what they do with it is really really cool, and I always feel like that's like your last card to like get out of something that's like fatal. But it's a little bit of like a get out of jail free card if you ask me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, it seemed like it was tough to pull off anyways, and then
Mhm.
obviously they eventually created the opposite of that. I guess the one eye prowess to be able to combat it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Danzo is another one we haven't mentioned, and he was pretty cool too. Like at the end, there's also a
I,
little crabby dude in the back. Yeah.
yeah, and I'll say Danzo is probably the villain that I dislike the most. Like the character that you hate that
Oh yeah,
character
yeah. I guess.
more than like probably any other one because they make their villains like so like easy to empathize with typically, except for Danzo. Danzo,
Yeah,
you just hate him.
you never got a lot about Danzo. Like it was always the same thing too. He was just so opposed to the word of the third Hokage, and he didn't agree
Yeah,
with the way that they were ruling the village. And yeah, he kind of therefore created a lot of cool things like the black or
yeah,
like
Ambo.
the
Yeah,
Ambu,
the
but like
Ambu.
the what's it called? Oh my god! But anyways,
Oh
the
yeah,
foundation. There you go. The
yeah.
foundation, who was like a darker Ambu
Hmm.
basically, and had this ulterior motive. But I think in general, he still had like the, at least in his mind, he had the right things in mind, where he still was looking out for the village. It was just in his own dark ways. And I really like the way that he died because doesn't he do like that self implode or exploding like jutsu, and he basically just kills himself when he's fighting Sasuke. Oh yeah, Sasuke basically kills him, but
Yeah.
it's basically him gonna go do that jutsu, killing himself, and Sasuke being like, "Oh, I won," like
Like
because he
there's
died.
there's before we end this, man. There's one thing that I want to bring up that I meant to bring it up when we're talking about the Hokages, but something that Naruto also did early on that I loved, and eventually like it still was part of the show, but wasn't as big as I wanted it to be. And definitely there was not a lot of explanation besides when it came to the frogs. But I love their summoning jutsu, man. Summoning
Hmm.
jutsu
Oh
were
yes.
like the coolest thing I have ever seen. Like especially because I think at the time nobody else had done that kind of level to it. And I wish that would have became more part of the show, where it was just kind of like you learn more about how you build a contract, and the way where you got to go to get a contract. Like you mentioned Sasuke, like that fight with Danzo. Like, yeah, Sasuke brings out this bird, but you never really even know how he got that bird. So I would
Yeah.
have wished they would have made it a point to say like, hey, there's this forest, and if you want to make a contract, you got to go in there and fight the biggest opponent or whatever, or have these animals actually interact with you, just like the frog once interacted with
Oh yeah.
Naruto. And I think that was the closest you got to an explanation. But I like it, man. And I mean, if you kind of want to even think about like where Chainsaw Man got his, they're probably like their idea to like even do that with
Go.
the contracts and stuff, like that's probably where it goes back to, like the idea that Naruto sort of dropped this idea that you can make a contract with a beast and summon them and they will do your will. Well, guess what, Chainsaw took that and now actually made it 100% of a part of the show, because that's the one thing that they're always doing. And I love that about it. I think that's probably one of the things that does keep me watching Chainsaw Man, the idea they have contracts and they can summon these crazy abilities out of nowhere. So I wish they would have kept going with that.
Yeah, and I
So,
think that's like a memorable part of like the first Naruto, like the when he's still a kid, when he's learning how to summoning like
And
the
he summons the
toads.
big
Yeah,
frog.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just in general
Or the
like
small
that's.
one.
Oh yeah, yeah, but especially when he freaking does Chief Toad,
He
is when you
throws
know
some.
he has the power like to be able to do something like that. Because I think even at that point, I think Chief Toad is like, you summoned me, like what, like how did you summon me? And that's another part that kind of like really led to that story of Naruto being like just a badass at heart and ultimately just having all that potential. But no, yeah, Carlos, I'm glad you brought that up because I was thinking about it earlier. I kept on forgetting. I think yeah, the summonings was really good. I know you just made a post on Instagram for Maki's page of like the freaking ninja hounds that Kakashi
Ninja
has.
Hound. Yeah.
I love those guys because I think I even read that he raises them one by one, like since they're puppies. I didn't know that because I've always wanted that. I'm like, wait, like where did Kakashi get all these dogs, right? Like, did he go to like a freaking shelter and he's like, you know what, I'll take them all. Let's go. But no,
My
like you
my, my,
find
my, my, my my son loves the dogs.
yeah, see, and
Yeah.
it's like, and that's like something like that, where it's like you have these shinobi that like summon these giant, crazy birds and animals, and the slug,
Monkey. Yeah.
the poisonous
Primate.
slug, like the
The
salamander,
slug, the
the salamander.
toad, yeah,
But then you also have like Kakashi
the
who summons like a
monkey,
whole yeah, oh yeah, the third of Hokages, yeah.
Yeah. The
yeah,
But then you
monkey.
have like Kakashi who like summons a whole pack of like hounds, and that's really cool too because they
yeah.
all have their personalities. You have Pakun, and all of them, and it's
Mhm.
just like I don't know. I think that like you said, I wish they would have had a little bit more about that, or at least like maybe one filler I could have dedicated to Kakashi, seeing him raise like Pakun or any of those
Yeah.
guys, and
Okay.
see how
Eh,
puppy love.
Quick,
Go ahead.
uh,
Yeah.
some quick fire questions for you guys, unless
Okay.
you have something, Carlos, that you were gonna say.
What I was gonna say, like another thing that they dropped that I wish we would have gotten more, because we're talking about Kakashi. It's like I wish they would have gotten more with why they call him the copycat ninja, because
Hmm.
we got the first episodes where you see why, but then later on it was just never shown again. And I know during
Yeah.
our Naruto draft that you could watch, I mentioned how like I remember at some point like he grabs somebody else's hands and starts doing like the jitsu, but it's actually Obito, the one that does that to Kakashi. And I was like, oh shit, like in my mind, it was Kakashi that did that to somebody else. But it
Yeah.
was Obito, the one that grabbed Kakashi's hands and he starts using his hands to make a
Oh
jutsu.
yeah.
So that was really cool. But like, I wish the show also would have continued with the idea that because Kakashi only has one eye, he was able to develop an ability with the Sharingan that nobody else had ever had done. Because even to this point, I don't really understand why he was able to predict somebody else's movements, other than he hypnotized them to like make them believe that I can see what you're gonna do before you do it. But I wish that was still like one of those most things that like stayed with me right in the beginning. So I wish we would have gotten more of that. But no, go ahead, bro.
No, but well, to go off of that, Sasuke did that too. If you notice, because he stole Lee's technique,
Oh
um,
yeah.
Oh,
that he did on him too.
from
So
watching it
so
one
it might
time.
be just like a Sharingan thing that you learn every jutsu
What,
that you see.
what I was saying, when he was fighting the water guy, he in his
Sabusa, I looked it up.
Sabusa, in his mind, he's like thinking about the next move, but Kakashi's already making that next move. So
Yeah,
it's like you never really
before,
know.
yeah,
Like, so I think it was just probably like the whole ninjutsu and putting them under hypnosis, and like
yeah.
he made him think that he knew, even though he really didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know what? It's funny because I'm laughing or like thinking about the time, and I'm like, man, if only one person tells me they want to hear a second part to this episode, absolutely, I'd be down because I feel like, there's hundreds and more things that we want to talk about. But there is one thing I want to talk about in this episode, and that was the fact that that movie that I watched, the last Naruto
Oh
movie, and
yeah.
I'll make it super short because again, I know there's a lot of these movies you guys tell me like they were just kind of like random or they're just like not super important to canon and what's going on. But just to plug this movie, and it's called The Last, and it's the Naruto movie. The only reason why I love that movie, and I think it's something that we're not there yet because that's ultimately how the series ends, is with Naruto and Hinata getting married. This movie is what you need. That's the love story that you need, basically, and I loved it. And again, I bought the hard copy just so that I can actually share it with you too. And I guess if anyone else wants to borrow it, I think I told my brother first, but I just like the idea. It was just like the love story between Naruto and Hinata, and it was a little bit more in depth. It kind of made more sense that after the big Naruto and Sasuke fight, that was what was missing. It's a little bit of courtship, a little bit of like, how did we fall in love with each other for real, for real, for real? And it was a great movie. So at one point after we show you the movie and you guys watch it, like then hopefully we could talk about it some too, because I love it. It's a lot of cool scenes in there, and it just goes to show you that it doesn't just end with the actual series.
Well, no, man, and I'm looking forward to the point where we get 1,000 followers, Ramon, and you're there getting a Naruto tattoo, and I'm holding your hand because definitely we're gonna make that happen one day when we have 1,000 followers. We're gonna make a
or
sketchy a nice
or
tattoo of
or
man.
I'd agree to that.
or we can all three get matching tattoos. We'll get Team
uh,
Seven. I'll get
hey,
Naruto,
how
you
about you
get
get no,
Sasuke, and
no, you
Ramon can
can't
get
say you
Sakura.
can't what?
No,
No.
Ramon can get Sai.
How about Kakashi because he's technically part of Team Seven. So there you go. Who won
No,
now?
but Raul, lead us to the end, man. Like I'm here. You're my team leader. Take me to that final end goal.
Okay, well, I guess even though you didn't give me a heads up before this, but this there's a reason why there's a big three in anime, and this is like solidly one of them. Like nobody argues whether this show should even be part of the big three because it is. It's besides DBZ, it's the biggest show that kind of made anime the big thing that made anime mainstream in the US. So it definitely it's the reason why I got into anime because DBZ was just like when you're a kid, everybody watched it. But with Naruto, it was I saw it in Japanese. I couldn't do anything else because I had to read all the subtitles, and the English version didn't exist. So it kind of sparked that interest and kind of opened the door for me to get into every other anime. So it is what it is, and it's a great introduction if anyone has time to go through 720 episodes of an anime.
Yep.
No, man, definitely. And if somebody does want us to do like more Naruto talk, I'll put it out there in the questions because like that would be great to know. Like you guys want to, because I mean, we can make a list of whoever we didn't talk about, so we can give those moments or those characters love. But yeah, like just like Kakashi, and if we don't drop this in like a minute, I'm just gonna put a wood jutsu to like have a clone of me, and then I'm going to sleep, guys. So you guys say your final thoughts because I'm about to check out.
Kagebushi no Jitsu. No.
There you go. Now,
All
man,
right.
I said if you guys have a few months to kill Naruto all the way, watch it.
Oh yeah, it's a good
All
show.
right. All right, Raul, take us home with your tortilla making skills. Get on it.
No, I don't know how to do any of that stuff.
Okay, whatever.
There you go.
All right, man. This is. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Good morning.
In good